Hey guys and gals, is your epoxy slab table gonna fail? Mine did, and this was poured 5 years ago. Let's talk about why, when, and see if we can fix it. This is in no way any type of scientific experiment. Poured this back in 2017. Yep, back before epoxy was all over social media and the internet. What happened is a few things, and let's talk about those. I'm also not trying to say that all epoxy tables are gonna fail, because that's just dumb and untrue. This one failed, and I think most of it's my fault. When I bought this cookie tree chunk here, I was told that it was very dry and it had been cut and stacked away for years. That was not the case. I poured epoxy on here. It wasn't completely encapsulated. I poured on there, let it penetrate, and then I poured another layer on there and let it penetrate. I got tired of throwing money at epoxy, threw it in the corner of my shop, and after it set for years, basically, I want to say after about the first year, we started getting cracks, and you could hear those started forming up the longer this sat around. So that was telling me that this was probably not dry. The dryness of the wood is super important, as you can see. So what can we do to fix our failure here? That's a damn good question. What I know I gotta start with is some very aggressive sanding.
We have to be very aggressive.
We gotta get back down to bare wood, and then we're gonna pour it again, just because I like to abuse myself. That's gonna take way too long. Wow, that was a terrible process, because on my router, the router plate, I don't have a spot for a big surfacing bit like I used.
That's a huge bitch.
To be able to put dust collection. I just randomly put a shop vac hose up there. Didn't do a whole lot. Took me like 30 minutes to clean it up. And now we can just work on doing some sanding, which is gonna take quite a bit of sanding as well. So here we come up to problem number 2. It has to be mixed to the correct ratios. And if it is not exact, it can really spell disaster. It's probably a large portion to some of the failure in this, because like this right here, that's hard. That's hard. This over here is hard. These spots, look at this. These are like spongy, and we have that problem all over this. Whatever pour this was, I obviously didn't mix it good enough. I'm just going to do a new pour on top of all this anyway. I'm not trying to encapsulate the whole thing. I just want to fill these voids. We're going to start with trying to fix this part. So we flipped her over. Chances of this being 100% successful are probably 0%. It's going to take a lot of tape, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, so now we flipped it back over, have everything taped up in the bottom. We're going to fill in all these voids, and hopefully nothing leaks through. Hopefully nothing leaks through.
Suck it up.
For whatever reason, I'm guessing math, all of these angles are exactly 45 degrees. Definitely not a math guy. As I've admitted before, math is not really my strong suit, and I knew it wasn't just as simple as going over to the saw and cutting 45-degree angle. It's a compound angle. I don't completely grasp everything there is about compound angles. I had to look it up. Short story, if you make a table like this with these type of legs, the miter is 45 degrees like we had it set, but the actual bevel is 35.3. And yes, it has to be pretty exact. Miter 45, bevel 35.3. So now what we're gonna do is drill dowels, and then we'll make an enlarged hole under the top so that kind of sits on there. And yes, it can move around, but it can't slide a whole lot. So that's how we're gonna mount it. If it's a little off, it's okay, because like I said, we're putting an enlarged hole in the top. Time for the final flood coat, and it's a secret which product we're using, so I can't tell you. It's a secret. I think this would be pretty hard to mess up considering it's a 1-to-1 mix. I think I can match the numbers. Stir, stir, stir. All right, we've stirred this up to where my arm is freaking numb. Time to start pouring. I did try to level this the best that I could. And yes, I do want it to run over the inside. It's part of the whole shtick here. So we drilled the holes in the top of the legs, and I'm gonna use these little dowel, oh, come on. Little dowel center things with the pokies. Put them in the hole, and we're going to flip this over on top to mark for our legs. One of the coolest things about these legs is one, how simple they are to cut, and two, the really cool way that they go together. Come around here, I want to show you. All three of these legs are the exact same length, exact same notch. Couldn't be easier. I want to kind of show you a first-person view of this so you can kind of wrap your head around it, because it took me a couple tries to kind of figure out how this works, but once you do it a couple times, it's really easy. You start with one, then the next one goes halfway across, and then the next one yet goes onto that one and slides down in to that slot and forms a perfect tripod every time. And it is super, super solid.